wants to play with the microphone real bad. Hello and welcome back, finally, after a bit of a hiatus between season 1 and season 2. To the Victorian Sims 2 challenge. We now have a baby. The last time we played this game, we did not have a baby with us. So yeah, we are starting off with the King household. We are in generation 3 of the King household. So our heir, Ernest, just passed away, essentially last rotation, and his younger brother Charles has taken his place. Do you not like mommy talking? What's the issue? You may be hearing some little goblin noises from the baby while she eats. Sorry, we're doing what we can here. The household is still really in mourning. However, you can see that Annelise is not in mourning in the slightest, and mostly the people in mourning are Louisa and her daughter-in-law, Rosabelle. So the house is pretty big. We've got a lot of Sims living here now, and things are a little bit chaotic. We do only have one maid. However, it has become abundantly clear just by the state of the laundry in the house that one maid for this entire estate is not gonna cut it at all, which I think is fair considering the fact that the Lawson household is smaller than this household and they have 2 maids. So Meredith is doing what she can, but honestly, it's a pretty tough time for her. I mean, there's a lot to do around the house. We have everyone's swapping beds. So Rosabelle now has a new smaller bedroom. She's not the lady of the house anymore. That would be Annelise, but she does have her daughter Rosetta Ernestine. She's named after both of her parents. So just a little, reminder of who's who, because gosh, I needed it. If you haven't seen the recap video, that will be really helpful for you guys because it's specifically tailored around the Kings. We will be doing a recap video for each and every household. Are you serious? We just started the challenge back up and we already have a robbery. Oh my god. So the Kings get robbed again. They've been robbed so many times at this point. Like, it's kind of ridiculous. And so since Meredith is the only one on the first floor near the phone, we do have Meredith go and call the police. They come, of course, a little bit too late because dude here has already stolen our dresser, which is like, we just bought that. I literally just bought that right before I started recording. It's fine. So the cop gets into a fight with the robber and straight up loses. So the robber gets away with our gigantic, expensive dresser, which is really sad. Everyone's kind of in distress. Meredith had a fear of getting robbed, and so the therapist has to come, and of course the cop is telling her, like, yeah, sorry, got away with the dresser. Don't know how I missed that one, but have fun. So gosh, poor Meredith. It's like the middle of the night, but no one can go back to sleep after the robbery. She is doing some laundry in the middle of the night just to try and catch up on things. She's probably got about 50 items of laundry in her inventory, which is an aggressive amount of laundry. But you know what? We are doing what we can to take care of it. I'm essentially having her do 4 loads of 5 items a day. And so Louisa is actually in the education career still. She has not retired. She just really likes working. And so we do get that amazing bookcase of learning finally for the King household. We have that in a couple of the extra houses as well. It's so ridiculously useful. The kids are off to school and Charles is off to work. I think he's in the political career, and that leaves Rosabelle and Annelise to kind of figure out the household themselves. Of course, Louisa is still here, but she's getting older. She's not moving around the house as much, and it's really these two sort of running the house. And when we think about it, Rosabelle didn't even have that much time to really learn how to run the house. Annelise and her daughter Viola are, well, a little lazy. They're definitely enjoying living in the lap of luxury, although the lap of luxury does not last particularly long considering the fact that we have everyone sick again. So as I said in the vignette, they did move into this household in the midst of an epidemic. It's pretty bad. Every household that I enter in this neighborhood right now is sick. So I am trying to figure out who has a genie's lamp so we can go ahead and cure it, because otherwise the entire neighborhood is probably going to implode. Now, Annelise, believe it or not, is not a fortune sim. She is a family sim, which is probably some of the most surprising news to me, just given her character. And so she really wants more kids. I let them try every so often, but they are getting a little bit older, and when you think about it, she is actually a good deal older than Charles, so her fertility is probably starting to decline at this point. So I'm not sure it's really going to happen for them, but you know, they do have 2 kids, and like, should we be concerned if John somehow dies? I mean, yes, because he has a sister and not a brother, so I don't even know what we would do at this point if John dies, but let's not think about it. However, it is time for John's teenage birthday, which is really exciting. I am shocked that Generation 4 is aging up into a teen. Where did the time go? So he ages up. I think he looks a lot like his mother, perhaps. Yeah, what do you think? Does he look like his mother? So we're gonna make him a fortune sim, and here he is. He looks quite dashing. I give him some new hair that I recently downloaded, and I am pretty pleased with the way that he's going, honestly. We'll definitely have to see what his character turns out to be, of course. And it's also Rosetta's birthday. So we go ahead and with little fanfare, because it's already midnight at this point, and all of my Sims are exhausted, and I just need to get her birthday out of the way. Poor Rosetta didn't get to celebrate, but we'll celebrate her teenage birthday a little bit more. Here she is. She's adorable. She looks like such a good mix of her parents. She's got her mom's eyes. I think maybe her dad's nose. I don't know. We'll have to play it by ear and see. So I do send Annelise out on a little excursion to St. Philip's Park just to kind of get her out of the house, exploring. Like I said, she's not really in mourning. She didn't really know Ernest very well, so she's not too worried about it. And weirdly enough, we do see Daisy here standing very close to Alice, who is married to her old lover Septimus, which is a little bit weird. I can't even imagine how Daisy must feel to be around Alice, because I'm sure that Daisy is probably still a little bit in love with Septimus. But I mean, Alice is gorgeous and amazing, and you know, Daisy hasn't really come across Septimus in a long time in the neighborhood. They've kind of been avoiding each other because that heartbreak was so raw and so intense for both of them. Daisy is still working as a midwife, however, she's really just doing it on her own. If someone has to call Septimus in, she generally leaves, and he brings, I would say probably a new midwife in, or he works by himself. So we do have Annelise cook some sausage in a bun, and look who else should show up. This is like Daisy's worst nightmare. Cecil Harvey. So Cecil is Annelise's brother, and the father of Daisy's daughter, Ebba, who they had essentially an affair with, because Cecil is actually married and has 3 other kids. We've got Ethel and Clementine. And a lot of you guys were Ethel stans for a while. I love Ethel. We'll have to see what they're up to in another episode, and just like check in so we can see how they're aging up and all that stuff. I think you finished the bottle, honey bear. So Annelise, of course, goes to say hi to her brother. The Harveys weren't super close. They've had some kind of weird stuff go on in their household. I mean, they have Craig Ray living with their mom and all kinds of weird stuff. And of course, I love that the first thing they do is gossip about Craig Ray. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. So across town in a Holloway household, this is Mariana Holloway. Now, this branch of the Holloways is a lot poorer than the other Holloways that you guys probably remember. Benjamin, who was married to Georgina, had a twin brother that he hated, and that twin brother was named Hector Vladimir. Now, Victor is Hector's grandson, I think, or son, might be son. I think it's his son. And so that is how they're related to the main branch of the Holloways. And Hector's side of the family is a lot poorer than the other Holloways. So that's just kind of something to keep in mind. So Mariana is preparing to leave. She is moving into the King household because we desperately... Hi, what's up? We desperately need another maid because this household is a bit of a nightmare. This means that she probably won't really have much time to court and stuff. Please don't touch the mic. But that is okay because not everyone in this neighborhood is inclined to, get married and do kind of like the domestic stuff. Yeah, what do you think? Do you want to see romances? It's okay, mommy loves to put romances on her Sims. We'll get there, don't worry. Mariana is talking to Annelise about the new position, about moving in, and really they need someone very quickly. And so Annelise is pretty much like, you know what? If you want the job, you have the job. I understand that you don't have a lot of references at this point because you are still young, but we have a very seasoned maid, Meredith Ellis, who is more than willing to train you. So let's go ahead. Yeah, we'll pay you a good deal of money up front and weekly. And so we get her dressed in our little maid's uniform of the house, and Meredith starts to show her the ropes, specifically in the servants' quarters. She teaches her how to do the laundry because while Mariana would have done laundry at her house with her parents, not to the scale that they have to do laundry at this household because they have a lot of Sims living here. John brings home Wenling Bao, one of the Jung people, and they are kind of chatting about courtship, about life, about marriage, about societal expectations and stuff. And Mariana is shocked to actually see her friend is here. She definitely wasn't anticipating on seeing a Jung, essentially, at the King household. They're not particularly close, especially now that Ernest has passed away. Rosetta is working on her logic skills. She's a good little skiller, honestly. She is hopefully going to be attending university one day, but we'll check in on the university situation a little bit later in the episode. John is also working hard because he wants to get accepted to Cambridge, and that is something he never anticipated on being able to afford because John's household, Charles's household, was more middle class. And Rosetta can't help but, think about what life is going to be like for her daughter now. Meredith is very overwhelmed. Not only is she training someone new who has no maid service experience, but she lost an employer who was very nice and kind. Ernest was a very sweet Sim, except to Daisy. They had some beef, but it's fine. A day sets on Mariana's first experience as a maid. Meredith is kind of watching and, babysitting, kind of being like a bit of a stand-in governess for the children. Realistically, the kids could use a governess. However, Viola is going to be aging up probably pretty soon. And so once they're teens, I don't really worry so much about getting them a governess. That's really more for the toddlers and children in the household. So we're not going to worry about that yet, but in the meantime, it just really does extend all of Meredith's duties. She has so many mental breakdowns. It's absolutely wild. I feel horrible for her. And just to add to Meredith's plate, we also have a dinner party. It's kind of like a homecoming to welcome in Annelise and Charles into society. Of course, Charles was already kind of in society, but it's definitely a different kind of situation now that he's the heir, Cecil and Rosabelle do kind of play instruments in the dining hall. Rosabelle is a little bit uncomfortable with large crowds still. She's really still learning how to be in the society, and she's even more uncomfortable now that Ernest is gone. Daisy mostly hides out in the kitchen and runs into Cedric Cunningham, one of our painters around town. He is probably a late adult, He will probably be an elder in the next couple sim weeks, I would say. He and Daisy have some chats, and he is a little like off put by their conversation. Cedric wouldn't care about Daisy's ill repute and her situation with Ebba, but Cedric is a little bit of a spitfire, and so I think that the two of them would probably kind of butt heads, you know, because Daisy is also very headstrong. So Rosabelle literally spends the entire night playing the harp. Girl after my own heart, I get it. Meanwhile, Annelise is really trying to rub elbows with some of the more affluent members in town. Specifically, she's trying to make good ties with the Averys because aside from the Lawsons, I would say that the Averys and the Prices are probably the most wealthy in town. We don't really have Prices come over. We'll interact with the Prices at a later point. But what's really awkward about this dinner party is that Cecil is invited. Now, Annelise was the one who sent the invites. Annelise doesn't know that Cecil is the father of Daisy's daughter. What are you doing? You just want to sit up and hang out? You do. I get it. We're almost done. And so they have a little chat. This is really the first time they've actually talked to each other since Ebba was born, or, well, conceived for the most part. It goes well. You know, Cecil's not a bad guy, other than the fact that he cheated on his wife and, you know, family. But as you can see, Daisy doesn't exactly leave the conversation feeling particularly great. John didn't really enjoy much of the party. He preferred to do some homework and continue working on his studying. Getting into Cambridge is really important to him, and so he wants to spend all of his free time really working on that goal. Rosabelle spends every morning and evening outside in the sunset, in the sunrise, and Daisy actually decided to spend the night. She hasn't really spent the night back at the King estate since she lived here, and Louisa is really happy to see her daughter a little bit more. That is going to be where we end off with the main King household. Before we end the episode, I did want to give John his character traits. So we do randomize 3 traits for him to have the rest of his life, and it's completely random. And are you eating my hand? Okay, he's adventurous, he's brooding, and he's hot-headed. I know. I don't know what to do with that combination of traits, but I feel like brooding makes sense. I just was not expecting hot-headed from him. I mean, we're just gonna pop into the Lawson household real quick. I did want to give you a little bit of an update on the family since they are also recovering from Philippa's death still. A lot of them still have some sad moodlets from that, I would say. And the entire family is sick. Because of course they are. So we've got Archibald and Theodore as the kids that are still living here. They're both teenagers. Philippa's eldest son, the heir, is Nathaniel. And oh, we are sucking on my hand. Okay. Nathaniel is working really hard to get to the top of the law career. And hi. And Beatrice is really his biggest supporter. They have such a great relationship, a great romance. This is their son, Theodore. Theodore is the second oldest, and Archibald, the redhead we saw earlier, is the youngest. You can see that he's still really torn up about Philippa's death, as is pretty much everyone else in the household. So I did want to pop into Cambridge just to kind of show you the situation we have going on there. Right now, the Lawsons have been the only ones that can actually afford to go to Cambridge. That's going to change this generation. So this is what we're working with. We will have each family essentially own their own house in Cambridge. It'll kind of be like a fraternity style situation where they all live together. So here we have Marius. This is Philippa's, or this is oh my gosh, I've been saying Philippa. No, this is Nathaniel and Beatrice's eldest son. And this is kind of the state of their house as well. We also have Jasper O'Neilly living here. He's technically an O'Neilly, but I mean, his mother was Philippa, and so, of course, he's going to have access to the same things that her kids and her grandkids have access to. The house is still very small, but that's just where we are starting off. And so Jasper is currently an undeclared major. Meanwhile, Marius is a biology major and possibly will become a doctor. We'll see. We've got a lot of exciting things in store for them. So that's going to be where we end the episode today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and welcome back to the challenge. Yeah, you want to welcome them back to the challenge? Say hi. Hello, everyone. I'm sorry I was so cranky. Woo! We're in a sleep regression, and she hates napping. It's great. All right, I think I'm going to go put her down to a nap. I will see you guys later. Bye.